broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzz fans. Welcome back to AfterBuzz TV. For the first time, we are here doing an episode of Public Morals, A Fine Line. I'm Roxy Striar, and I'm so excited to be joined by Anna Koppel.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you, too.
You know what? It's been a long time. It's been a revenge long time.
That was
going to be punny, but then it wasn't.
I know you were going for whatever. What Roxy was doing is reminding everybody that we did the revenge panel together. Y'all made a request that the revenge panel would find another show to do.
That's true.
And that's in true to revenge form. Half of our panel's not here tonight.
Yeah, very, very true. But I'm kind of bummed they aren't, because this is a new show on TNT. It's on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. and it is really cool so far. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. I have to be completely honest. I don't know if I understand everything we're going to talk about, but I'm really excited to get down into it. Before we do that, though, obviously you guys know we're AfterBuzz TV. You can find us everywhere at AfterBuzz TV. You can find us on iTunes, on SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you are. Leave us that 5 stars, that thumbs up, write a comment, let us know what you want to talk about. In a show like this especially, there's so many characters and the storylines are so intense that we need to know, where's your head at? What do you want to spend the most time focusing on? So make sure you let us know. And also how awesome Anna is.
Oh, no.
That's how I feel.
You're the good one. You are.
We'll see. We'll see if you feel that way by the end of this episode.
I'm never going to not feel that way.
I love it. It's good. It's bonding. It's closeness.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But also I want to sort of piggyback on that. While there's just the two of us here, absolutely tweeted us throughout the show. You can follow me at Koppel for Mayor, KOPPEL FORMAYOR. Let us know what we're missing or what you want to add on to, because we both have our phones available, and please tweet at us.
That is true. You guys can find me at Roxy Striar, and starting next week, you'll be able to find Christina Kaplan at Tina Cap, and Phil Svitek can be found nowhere. You can find him at AfterBuzz TV.
Yeah. Where's Phil? Everybody's always saying, where's Phil?
Where's Phil? Well, it's a mystery to us tonight. Maybe he got shot and ditched into an ocean. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Phil died.
Yeah. Yikes. Just like on the show. But he is so excited. He's so excited to talk about this. He's the ringleader on this, but we'll try to do him justice tonight. Starting with talking about one of our two, what do I call them? Buddy cops? Is that what you're called when you're a cop with a partner?
Yeah, buddy cops.
Buddy cops. Yeah. So we got this team, Terry and Charlie. And first, well, in general, stacked cast. This cast,
unbelievable.
I was shocked. Everybody just kept coming, and people who are even coming in, I think, for one episode, I'm like, holy crap, how did they get that person on this?
Yeah, I was super impressed, and especially because I'm going to be honest, I didn't know about the show till Phil told me about it, and I guess it's huge, right? Because there's such a stacked cast.
Apparently.
And buddy cop,
yeah,
Terry Muldoon, right? Mm-hmm. Played by Edward Burns. Also is like the show creator, and he's writing and he's directing, so he's super involved.
I love when you're wearing multiple hats and you're working on your own show, and that makes me know that it's also a passion project. You want to be involved in every aspect. If something's not good, you probably don't want to be. If something's great, you want to be working all different fields, so that's really cool.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to see that, and he did a great job in tonight's episode.
He's so good.
I know.
He's so good.
Some of his speeches, we'll get into them, but
yeah,
oh my gosh,
for sure. Yeah, they definitely. I found myself like holding my breath and just being like, it was giving me legitimate anxiety. But props to him. And so his partner Michael Rappaport. I know him best as the cop on Friends, right?
It's so crazy that you say that because I hadn't even remembered that. I was thinking about him most recently. He was on Louis, and I was like, oh, that's where I know him from. I'm the biggest Friends. I love Friends so much. When you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, he was so great.
Gary, was that his name?
Yeah, it was Phoebe's boyfriend. That sounds right.
He shot a bird,
and then it was done.
And then
they were supposed to move in together. No more. No more. You can't shoot birds when you're with Phoebe. Okay, so they both did a great job tonight. Starting with Terry, he's got some situations going on at home. We see that he has a wife. He has 3 kids, one of which is in major trouble at school, at nun school. There's another name for that.
Catholic?
Catholic school. I'm a little Jew girl. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember these things.
I hear you. But well, they never really specifically said that. They just talked a lot about the nuns. So
we even saw some of the nuns.
Yeah.
And they were not as harsh as Terry was on the kids.
Right.
All right, so Terry gets really pissed at James because he has to go down to school. Christine's like, listen, I can't go. They want to talk to you. You need to get your stuff together because I have 2 other kids I'm dealing with.
Okay, but time out. Why do you think that the nuns want to speak to Terry and not the...
Because it's the 1960s. And I feel like they think that he will be able to reprimand and that a woman can't, or I don't know. I would have to assume it's because of the time period.
But I think it's completely the opposite. That it's in the 1960s. It's like, the woman's job to raise the kids. That's the mothers. And, father goes out and has a career. It was very strange to me. They're like, they won't talk to me. They want to talk to you.
I would completely agree if this wasn't about laying the law down. The fact of the matter is they need somebody who I'm thinking that the nuns assume is going to be either verbally strict or whatever it is with him. And I don't know if they think that she can do that job. But I'm with you. I would think at this time period that she would be the only one who would go down there. He has a full-time job. She is a mom. That is her job. We have to think.
But isn't there also like this notion of that time period, like, well, just wait till your father gets home,
Mm-hmm.
wait till daddy gets home. So that, that the nuns would still, even if they expect that dad's going to discipline, that they would still relay the message to mom. I just found it very strange.
Interesting point, and maybe we'll see more about this. Maybe she's done something that they don't appreciate, that they're not willing to talk to her. Maybe that he's done something really, really strong before. There might be a pre-existing relationship with the nuns in the family.
Right, and it is public morals, right? So maybe there's some sort of relationship between the police and religion. I don't know.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Absolutely. So he goes in, talks with his son, talks with the nun, and then gives one of the coolest speeches in the car about how he really appreciates who his son has turned out to be. He always dreamed that his son would be an asshole, and look at that. Lo and behold, his son is totally... I thought that this was brilliantly written, brilliant performance. I was sitting there thinking, where is he going with this? Is this just going to be a classic reprimand? No, it was awesome. I love that scene.
I hated the scene.
Oh my God.
Now, listen, I think we're coming from different places with this, but like equally appreciating the scene. This was one of the scenes that gave me the anxiety, where I was holding my breath throughout the scene because it started the same way. I'm like, who knows what they talked about? And maybe he was saying like, you know what, actually, like, they're going to give you crap about it, but I'm actually really proud because you stood up for yourself or whatever. Because I thought that's where it was going, but I was like, oh no, oh, he's shaming him. Oh, he's really berating him. This is painful. This is awful. This is what the kid, so like, not only does the kid go to school and there's just no relief anywhere for this child. It's awful.
When I talk about loving a scene, by no means am I saying stamp of approval on parenting style.
Right, no, right.
This is like one of the worst moves that you could make. But at the same time, I just thought that it was brilliant the way that they did it. I couldn't believe that that's how we opened their relationship. We got to see this right off the bat. We got to see how he treats his son and the way he deals with it. And even towards the end of the episode, when his wife is like, listen, he's devastated, please go talk to him. Even the speech that he gives him then, it's not like, good night, you'll be fine, I still love you, kid. It's like, hey, you got two paths now. You can be an asshole or you can turn back. Come on, choose. I was like, oh my God, he's still going with this.
Yeah, and he's kind of talking to his wife like she's an idiot as well. Because he's like, look, and your brother didn't have a father around. And our son does. So why don't you just let me do my job? You don't know what you're talking about.
What do we think about his wife, Christine? I think he calls her Chris, Terry and Chris in general. I mean, we have that phone call, then we see them drinking the beer together. Then we see that, she wants to talk to him in the hallway for a second about what goes on. Are we liking their relationship? Do we feel like he's definitely the dominant force in the relationship?
I'm not sure about their relationship yet. I'm really not. I feel like she resents him.
For something that we don't know?
Well, definitely for something we don't know their whole relationship yet. Absolutely. But I think that she resents... look, he obviously speaks down to her, right? And so she's not crazy about that. I'm sure like he comes in with some sort of sense of authority and like, I'm a cop and I know what's right and wrong and you listen to me and I lay down the law on the streets and in the home. And so I'm sure that there's just some, it's like an uneven power struggle in their relationship.
Absolutely.
But then I think she probably does things to punish him in ways.
Which I'm looking forward to seeing what those are. Makes for good TV.
Right. But also like, well, yeah, definitely. But just like sort of the way that she told him about how he has to go to the school. I mean, she said that with resentment. Like there was a lot of resentment in her voice and her tone.
Yeah, which is why there's probably more to the story there.
Yeah.
How many times has that happened?
Yeah, we usually don't get the whole story in episode 1 in the pilot. Yeah.
In good pilots, you don't get the whole story. Sometimes you watch a pilot and you think, wow, I have seen it all now. I don't need to keep watching this. I know the whole story.
That's true.
That definitely didn't happen here. Something I do feel like I've figured out is Terry seems to be the cornerstone of this show. He has attachments to every character in some way, shape, or form. One of those characters being his partner, Charlie. Now, Charlie has his own storyline going on in this episode. Yes, we see him with Terry, and we see them try to take down they walk in and there's the disturbance of the peace, and there's this prostitute, Fortune. She's with this guy. They go in there, and Charlie has a soft spot for Fortune because she supposedly is a school teacher. He's got some kids. She's a school teacher. She's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and he tries to help her out by not having her go to jail and giving her a lighter sentence. Now, do you think right off the bat she tries to get naked for him? He says no. Do you think he is regretting that decision? Do you think he's looking at her flirtatiously? Or do you think he's just an honest, good guy trying to help her out?
I do not think he's an honest, good guy.
I saw that coming from so far away.
Yeah, I mean, like, absolutely not. I do think that he's corruptible on so many levels. Now, I think he wants to do right, and I think he thinks he's doing right, and in whatever circumstance. But I mean, come on, he's taking the payoff, right?
Right, that Terry got them from the guy who slept with her.
Right. So that, and then he, helps her out, and I guess that's like the quote right thing to do because she's not a full-time prostitute. I don't know, but
if she was, would it not be the right thing to do?
Right, and I mean that's a whole conversation about like sex workers and who's in the wrong, but
the only reason I said that though is because I feel like he was really going to arrest her until he found out that she was also a school teacher. So for him, that obviously is a thing.
Right, but yeah, and we can get into that too, and but first, he's also like lying on his police reports, right? So there's some corruption within his own job. Mm-hmm. Then he goes to beat up this guy for her, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like he's already, I don't know, like he fancies himself a white knight, or he's immediately falling in love with this one woman or something, but that's, he's like off the books, going to just go beat the crap out of this guy, rob him.
So what do you think he's doing with all that? He takes his money and his jewelry. He says these are for medical expenses. I doubt her medical expenses are going to amount to all of that money and all of those possessions. You think he's pocketing that, or do you think he's going to give it to her and try to do what I think he would consider a chivalrous thing?
Well, he also said something to the effect of, you're going to make up for the work she's going to miss.
Right.
Because even as a school teacher, how is she going to show up looking like that?
Right, neither of her jobs.
Right, you can't explain yet. Oh, well, listen, at night...
I guess she could say I got mugged or something, but it's scary. I don't know what grade she's teaching, but imagine second graders going into that classroom. Horrifying.
any age would be horrifying. You see somebody with a face looking like that, it's a frightening thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's traumatic. But let's go back to, she's a school teacher, and there's also, so within the pilot we have Charlie having the soft spot for a school teacher, right? And we also have the nuns in that school. So do you think that's a coincidence? I mean, I feel like that.
It's great. I'm so glad you just brought that up. We know that Terry has kids there. We know that Charlie has kids there. We know that Stacy's a school teacher. Somehow paths are crossing at some point.
Right.
Absolutely.
Have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But are you implying in any way, shape, or form that she might actually be a nun at that school? Or are you just saying that she would be a teacher there or a teacher elsewhere?
No, I just think that it's interesting that there's so much about teachers. The teacher won't talk to me, she'll only talk to you. These nuns are very strict. This one is a prostitute. I don't. So I don't know. And what is the relationship between the schools and the police force? I just feel like it's going to come into play more.
Yeah, we absolutely need to keep that on our radar.
Yeah.
We can't possibly know in what way we need to keep it on our radar, but it's there.
Yeah.
Antennas up.
Yeah.
Teachers are in the play right now. So that's what's going on with them. He gives her his number to call. She ends up doing that, but I feel like even though she knows he has kids and has a wife or whatever it is, she was like, "Let me take you out for a drink." She doesn't care.
Just a drink.
Yeah, just a drink.
Yeah. It's never just a drink.
You hear that? It's never just a drink, okay? So that's on that team. And then Terry has more connection. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say if it's innocent, you go for coffee or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, coffee is a casual thing. Drinks lead to other things. So Terry's got more connections. We see that he's also friends with Latucci, who has a stick up his butt, for lack of better words.
What's Latucci's deal?
What's his deal?
Why is he so angry?
Is this an act? Is he trying to make Shay nervous? Is this who he really is? I mean, we do see Latucci pull Terry aside, and he's like, "Yo, listen, your wife called. Like, this is what's going on with your kid." So we know Terry and Latucci have a separate relationship, but Latucci to Shay is a total ass. He says to him, "Listen, you stay in the car. I heard you were a good guy. You're a loser. You stay here. I'm going to go eat. You sit right here." All that. He's really hard on him. Is this all just an act?
I don't know that it's an act. Now, I happen to feel this way about all cops, but not to generalize. But not all cops, of course. But I feel it is it's very common for cops to either have been bullied or have always been bullies, and so when they get into the force, they tend to bully others. I think that's a very common occurrence. And so this kid, he's brand new. And I think he's also probably feeling sort of inferior. For whatever reason, he's just like, "What are you doing here? You went to college," So that probably is giving him some sort of inferiority complex. And so whatever upper hand he can get on this guy, he's going to try to just make him feel like garbage.
Absolutely. But Shay, as you said, is our new guy. He's coming into the system. He doesn't know the ropes. Nobody knows yet. Is he going to be okay with the fact that we're pocketing things, that we're not doing things completely above the line all the time? So I think they're trying to feel him out. I think Latucci's trying to give him not tough love, but almost, like you said, bully him into something. But it's not Latucci who ends up having the conversation with Shay, making sure he's okay with it. It's Terry. Terry says to him, "I'm only going to ask you this once." Explains him the whole deal in kind of obscure terms and says, "Is this okay with you? Are you in?" And Shay says, "Yeah, I'm in." At this moment, do we think Shay knows what he signed up for? Or do you think that he's misinterpreting in some way, shape, or form what's being asked of him?
Well, I absolutely think Shay knows what he's getting himself into, and I have a prediction about it. Or we can maybe, I don't know.
No, save it.
I'm gonna save it. All right, I'll save it.
You're gonna keep, but don't forget it.
Okay, that's why I'm scribbling like right
Good,
now.
Yeah,
So,
right.
okay.
Well, I'm excited for your prediction. So if it is your first time, by the way, at AfterBuzz, welcome here. If you're just a Public Morals fan and you found our show, that's awesome. At the end of the show, we talk a little bit about predictions. So yeah, I'm making you save that.
Okay.
I'm making you hold that till later.
I like when you make me do things.
Okay, so that's what's going on with Latucci and Shay. We don't see that much more from Shay. I can tell that he's going to stick around. Latucci is as well. The other connection is again coming from Terry. Terry is a cousin of Sean's. Now, Sean has our opening scene. We see Sean walk in. First thing he does is he goes and he tries to kick the crap out of his own dad. You're sitting there thinking, all right, something's up. You hear him yell something about his mom. He beat his mom. We don't know who exactly his dad is, if he is involved in this lifestyle, who exactly Sean is. What are you thinking when we open this story and that's what we're seeing? Are you thinking this is Sean's story? Are you thinking that the dad's a bad guy? Are you thinking we're only hearing one side?
Right. So I love a show that just like gets right into it.
Yeah.
And that's great. But I also was like, what's happening? What's happening? What's going on? And I am still kind of having a little bit of trouble figuring out like who's good guy, who's bad guy.
I completely agree with that. I think that we're supposed to have a hard time figuring that out. And I don't actually think that for a lot of these guys, there's going to be an answer. I think that they're all kind of living in the gray.
Okay.
Which is what really interests me.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of these guys, I mean, we see that most of them are pocketing stuff and they are corrupt. So you can't completely be 100% a good guy when those things are going on. But then again, I don't know if anybody's 100% a bad guy.
But I don't.
I mean, beating your wife is that's a bad guy.
Yeah, that's bad guy. Yeah, for sure. But that's human. You know, nobody's in real life. Nobody's a good guy or a bad guy, right?
Right.
I mean, so I appreciate that. But opening there, I spent the whole episode just trying to figure out like, well, wait a second, like whose side are we on here?
I completely agree. So we see Sean in that situation, and we think, all right, maybe Sean is this really good person who's looking out for women and his mom and all these things. But then Sean has his own demons and his own things that people that are following him around that aren't so great, i.e. his best friend, Pat Duffy. So Pat Duffy, this is an interesting situation because we're introduced to him as Sean's friend. We find out a couple things about him. Number one, he was in jail. We know that he's afraid of going back to jail. Number two, Sean's standing up for him, even though Terry is told by Uncle John that Duffy is a bad dude. Hard to follow, I know.
Yeah.
But Duffy's being portrayed as a bad guy right now. Except in Sean's eyes. Sean is really trying to push for his friend Duffy. Says he hasn't graduated from high school. He doesn't have that much going for him. They're not going to find a way to, he's not going to find a way to make it if they don't bring him into whatever their scandals are right now.
Right. And I'm sorry, did I miss this? Was it explained what their closeness is that he would be pushing so hard?
Friends, childhood friends, I think it was. And especially, I got that because they talked about the sister, Deirdre, which is Duffy's sister, I believe. He says, you haven't seen Dee in a long time. So I assume he hasn't seen Dee since before Duffy was in prison. And that's how he knew him from when they were younger, maybe.
But it's not as though Duffy, like, took the fall or something.
I don't know. I really don't know.
That's possible.
I would think that, it's very smart, astute observation. Why is Sean pushing so hard for this? But at the same time, he was so quick to let it go. He says, Duffy, you have to meet me at this place at this time, and you have to come alone. Duffy shows up with somebody. Sean walks right the F out, says, I'm not doing this, goes to Terry, and says, you were right about the situation. So he was pushing so hard, but then he was so quick to let him go. Yeah. Just a strange dynamic.
Yeah, so I sketchy past. Yeah.
Something's up there. Something's definitely up. We see Duffy running from two guys who go after him with a bat. Duffy's obviously done this before because he's running, he's jumping fences. You're sitting there thinking, all right, how many people have you run from? How many people have come after you with a bat? Somebody came after me with a bat, I'd get beaten. You want to know why? Because I've never run from somebody with a bat before.
Yeah, I would just go into like fetal position. I'm like, please don't. Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of lay down and take it. I'm not trying, but like if you don't know how to run from somebody with a bat, if you've never run from somebody, I don't think you get out of there. But he did. He used his, I guess you call that street smarts. To get away. He's kind of talking smack through the fence to this guy. We don't really know who these guys are. And I don't know whether Sean initiated that for them to beat him up or who. Maybe it was something from inside the prison. Maybe it was from somebody outside the prison. I don't know. A lot of questions are going. The one thing we do know is that his sister, Deirdre, and Sean seem to have the vibes. That's what I call.
Yeah, they never go away.
Yeah.
Once they're there.
It was the romance bug.
Yeah.
She was great. I have to say that all of the actors in the show I thought did a really great job. She was interesting though. She was one of those characters that had me you know, when somebody's talking, you're just leaning forward. You just like need to hear what her next line is. She totally did that for me. So I liked watching their relationship. She seemed to be giving him quite a bit of crap, especially about helping out her brother, who she didn't feel like he should necessarily be helping.
Right.
When your own sister doesn't think you deserve that kind of help, I have to think you did something either to her or pretty bad.
Or she just feels like maybe she's just one of those like tough love approach type of people.
Absolutely, that could be the case too. And if that is the case, then I'm really interested in her perspective on all of these people, because I bet she'll have a very honest, open perspective.
Yeah.
So I like her character. I want to keep her around. Going again back to Terry, though. Terry has an uncle. His name is John. We mentioned it before because he didn't want Terry dealing with Duffy. By the way, again with the spoilers, Uncle John ends up dead in the ocean. So I don't know who he pissed off. We saw two people, they come and they shoot him like 15 times. They obviously toss his body. Terry's calling him Uncle John. Is it actually his uncle? And if his cousin is Sean, would that make John Sean's dad? Would that make John Sean's uncle? Is it a different side of the family? Who's connected here? Who would go after John? Terry didn't seem that upset about it in general. This whole death has my mind spinning.
I know. And didn't they put him in a car first? Like, whose car was that? I just feel like it's so sloppy. Why? It was just such a mess.
I agree, but you also have to remember this is the 60s. Nowadays, they have all this technology.
You're right.
I think that maybe they can't pull any prints off it. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe this is how you murdered people back in the day.
Yeah, we should ask around. Yeah,
totally. Let's just put out those feelers. Hey, if you guys know at home.
Yeah. Anyone who's murdered anybody in the 60s.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't have to be you. You could have had a friend who did it. I had a friend one time. So this really was a great way to end a pilot episode. Had me asking a million questions. Any thoughts on Uncle John's death and what possibly led to his demise?
A million questions about Uncle John's death.
Yep.
You know, why?
Who, what, when, where, why, how?
Right, yeah, totally. And why wasn't it a bigger deal? How did he wash up so quickly? What's the point of dumping a body in the ocean if it's going to wash up right away? I feel like it was meant to be found. Mm-hmm. So why that? I mean, was it a warning to somebody? I have a million questions about it.
Why isn't Terry that upset? Is that just his personality? Or does he really not care? Was he involved? Was he not surprised?
Was he the shooter?
Yeah, we see these two men, it seemed like, and just dark faces, like shadows everywhere. You can't see what's going on. Obviously, that's on purpose. And so we're going to have to see throughout the season, which, by the way, I think brings us to predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right, we've waited all episode for it. Hit me with the good stuff, Anna.
So really, my only prediction at this point is about Shay, and I think he's a mole. I think he's been sent by the FBI. I think he's there. I think they know that this is a corrupt division, and he's there to take the whole precinct down.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's a really great prediction. He is the person who's new to the team. He was so willing to say yes, he was in, and it didn't seem like his character to me. So I think that would be really interesting. Or maybe if he's not already, somebody might be able to turn him into a mole.
Yeah.
And they might be able to get him on their team. That would be interesting. We saw in the coming weeks, they did this season on Public Morals. We saw that Christine was trying to move out with the kids, so her and Terry are clearly on the rocks. We saw a lot of dead people. We saw that Fortune, also known as Stacy Potter, and Charlie, I think we're hooking up for a second. Surprise, surprise there. I think this is going to be a show with a lot of sex and a lot of corruption. Some really great music, by the way. I loved listening to that. So cool. And I can't wait to talk about it this entire season here at AfterBuzz TV. And I can't wait to talk about it with our full panel.
Yeah.
That's a little jab to you guys.
Like they're going to watch this.
They're going to.
I bet.
Well, in the meantime, throughout the week, where can the people find you if they want to keep the conversation going?
You can follow me at Koppel for Mayor, KOPPEL-FORMAYOR.
Thank you, Anna. And you guys can find me at Roxy Striar. You can find us at AfterBuzz TV, AfterBuzzTV.com, YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, wherever you are. Give us that 5 stars, that thumbs up. write a comment, let us know what you're thinking or what you want us to talk about. You can, by the way, find Christina Kaplan on Twitter at Tina Cap. I'm sure she would love to hear from you guys. Let her know how disappointed you are that she missed the frickin' show. But we will be back next week, full force. Make sure you're watching on TNT at 10 p.m. on Tuesday, Public Morals, and then you're watching our show on Thursday. We love you guys so much, and thank you for tuning in.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.